Well, welcome back. As I said, I wanted to take you through the star reduction process that I use. Again, I know it's a little counterintuitive that we have these beautiful digital cameras that collect all this light and data and these things that we can't see with our own naked eye. But the star reduction process, in all honesty, it's a matter of taste. What do you want your image to look like? Some people swear by it. Other people won't touch it. They want the absolute, the most stars possible. For me, in all honesty, I really like the way this image has come out, and so I'm going to go through the star reduction process with it because it's the image that's here, and I want to. It's a very simple process to do through Photoshop. But this particular image, I always do this. I will always save this final edit that I have, and then it's not going to be affected by what I do with the other image. That I will actually open up a new image in Photoshop and do my edits with that. But I'll take you through that process quickly because this is the image that we started with. We've been looking at it for a while, and we can work with it that way. So go up to Photo, and we're going to go ahead and edit as a smart object. We'll have it opened up as a smart object in Photoshop. And I had my Photoshop already opened, so shouldn't take too long for it to get brought into Photoshop. I apologize. Realizing that having the smaller screen or the work space on the screen a little small may not have been super helpful. So gone ahead and added and made those a little bit larger. I don't like them to fill up my entire screen, but personal taste. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a copy of our image here. So this is the original image. Command and J will create a second image, and again, this is that image that we brought in after stacking it, did some edits to it in Lightroom, and now we've brought it in here. We're going to select the channels up here, so we'll leave these layers separately. Some people go through and rename this stuff while they're working on it. I personally don't see why that's necessary. It's not anything big for me, so I'm just going to work with this top layer. You can see they are identical. There's no difference. But yeah, we'll focus on this top layer. Go up to the Channels tab here, select that. You'll get the different channels that are available. And what we're going to do is we're going to work with the RGB channel. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to drag it down here. There's this little channel selection icon at the bottom. So I'm just going to drag this particular RGB channel down here. And what that will do is it will highlight the different colors, and it will give us a chance to say, okay, what's really bright and what do we want to do with it? And this is where the star reduction comes into play. So, and you can see there's these dancing lights. Some call them marching ants. There's all kinds of little terminology, but there's a definite pattern where it's the brightest, this little zebra ink pattern here. And you can see down here along the horizon, the lights from towns south of us. I gotta believe that's actually, I think I said earlier it was probably Rocky Mountain National Park, but thinking about where this is and the direction that we're facing south and west here. So this is definitely North Park. We're probably talking about Walden. This really bright glow over here, just more likely Steamboat Springs, because that would be over there off of what path? Buffalo Pass on the backside of Mount Werner. So, but anyway, that's just some geography there. Let's get back to what we're going to do. So we're going to, now that we've got a channel active, we're going to select what to do with that channel. So we're going to go up to the Selection tab. We're going to come down to Modify. And the first thing we want to do is we want to make those, what's been selected, we want to make it larger. And there's some formulas in this expanding and reducing process that you can fiddle with. There's no hard fast rule. I know when it comes to some of the filters, some of the filter, the noise filter, what we're going to use later. There's some ratios with the camera sensor that we want to be aware of. Again, with the actual star reduction, it really is a matter of taste. The larger the pixels are, the more likely they are to take up the space, and then ultimately reduce more stars. But I go pretty conservative on this. I don't want it to be a real drastic or graphic change. That's just not my taste. So those are all of the pixels expanded. We need to go back up to the filter again. We're going to modify it, and again, we're not removing them. We're just dispersing them. So we're going to actually feather those pixel selections. And if you notice, there is a 1:3 ratio between these two. So that first piece where we, the first thing that we did in our modifying where we expanded, that was set at 8. And now the pixel radius that we set for our feathering, that I've set for my feathering, is 24. That's kind of what I work with in this, is I work on a 1:3 ratio. So if it were, 8 times 3, 24. If it were 6 times 3, 18. And again, the smaller that end number is, the less impact you're having on the star reduction. So if I had 10 and 30 as my two numbers, that 30 ultimately ends up having a bigger impact on the star reduction. So again, it's all personal preference. What do you want your image to actually look like? You are the photographer, you are the creator, you're the person that needs to be happy with the result. Go ahead and click back on the Layers tab, just so you're working in the layers. Go ahead and Command and H, and that gets rid of the dancing that's taken place. Now again, this is actually a pretty subtle change, and I'm going to play with the opacity here, and you can that there is a difference in what we've done. It doesn't look like we've done a lot, but we've smoothed out some of those rough areas. Some of these little tiny details, I'm pretty happy that they're still around. Some of these little tiny blue clusters are quite pretty. So if you grab the opacity slider here and reduce it, you can see it's so subtle. So subtle, the difference in here. And again, some of that has to do with the fact that we had already a real diffusion in the light. So that takes away a little bit. You can do that a couple of times. As I said, you can, if you're not happy with the results, we can go back through and change those variables, be more aggressive with that reduction. The problem is you end up with pockets of blank in your final image. So it can look really unnatural. And again, my goal is to make something that my vision of what a natural night sky should look like. And again, all of us are a little bit different. All of us are a lot bit different in that regard. Next, I want to go through a filtering process. So I'm going to go ahead and select my filter tab. There is a noise reduction filter, and the specific one that I like to use is this dust and scratches. So this will take care of any other any other noise that was induced by the higher ISO. And again, if I take my selection tool, it's going to run things around. And again, this is that same 1:3, the radius of the pixels and the threshold, gives me a sense of where things are. And if I change that, we can see more impact. Things get really blotted out or really enhanced. So I'll stay down here pretty conservative. Let's do a different variable. Let's do, I think I got, there we go. I'm going to go 15 and 45. Oops. Oops. Play around a little bit. Again, pretty aggressive. Click OK. And again, with our opacity here, if I take that all the way back over, it's a little more aggressive. So it's all very, very subtle stuff. It's not anything that's super aggressive. You can be far more aggressive. Go up and do, there's, with the blur filter, a lot of people like adding the Gaussian blur, which just sort of gives a little bit more dreaminess to the scene, kind of an effect. If I take that back up, you can see where it has a real impact on that actual core of the Milky Way. So got a couple things going on there. Sometimes in here we'll go into some of the other adjustments, typically a curves adjustment or a levels adjustment to just add contrast. I'm pretty happy with how overall how much contrast there is in this image. So I'm going to go ahead and have flatten these layers, so I have one image that I can export. So I'll go ahead and save this image. And what's nice is it will populate itself back up here in my Lightroom timeline where it came from. Just takes a moment. So you can see this is what we had, and this is what we have. Again, real subtle difference. I think in part we're not seeing as much change because of the haziness of the night. Now, one thing to remember is that we made this Medicine Bow Edits catalog, and we want to drop that, not catalog, but collection. And there's only one image that's in there. That's the original image that we imported. So just so you don't lose your mind, go ahead and grab that image that we saved out of Lightroom and drop it back in there. So as I said, original, I really like that. I actually don't think it needs, I think there was a nice bit of atmosphere that supported stuff. But typically what I do is I'm going to take that TIFF that's been edited, play with it just a tiny bit more, maybe bring down the highlights a little bit there, bump up the clarity just a tiny bit, see what my vibrance does. Ooh, that's introduces a lot. You can, again, some of that air glow that we talked about yesterday or in the previous video, how that has an impact on the humidity. I kind of like those greens popping out a little bit. And we took a little bit out of the sky, but not too much. And again, we're not getting a lot. We're looking through some fog, so things are going to be a little foggy. I'll do another tutorial here, but I really like. There's the purples and the whites and the blues coming out of the core here. That again, that dark horse is really standing out. The prominent stars of Scorpius standing out. Antares, they're a nice big yellow star in the center of it. I don't know. I'm pretty happy with this image. I'm gonna go ahead and export it. I like it. Post it to my stories here. I typically have, here's my file structure, Milky Way images. Did I have anything here? Did I put anything there? I think that's all my bird images. It's summer. nope, it's all wildflowers and stuff like that. Some pretty days. So technically not Colorado. I've not exported any the Wyoming stuff. I'm hoping to get up to Wyoming in the next month. Medicine Bow Range is beautiful. It's real convenient for me, and I found some great older houses north of Cheyenne, between Cheyenne and Wheatland. There's some real pretty areas there. I found some sunflower fields up there this summer, so plan to do some more exploring there. So create that. Let's see here. I'll do a folder inside of there. Medicine Bow Summer. So that way I know what I got when I'm looking at it. All the other XF data is pretty handy, but yeah, there we are. So thanks for walking through that process with me. I think I'm going to go ahead and export this one as well. So yeah, we can see a real difference there. Just a little bit more, a little extra, a little flat. Nothing wrong. If that's as far as we've gotten, I'd be super happy with that. But we went that far, and yeah, I'll get that either up on my stories or on Instagram. So great.